So let's talk about site selection. And, when we're looking at the trial readiness in ophthalmology, Patricia, this is going to be for you. We know ophthalmology trials are complex and they often need complex devices, the imaging equipment and the visual acuity, and this requires expensive technology to run them. How do we make sure sites are trial ready?
Trial selection and making sure they have the technology that we need to be part of an ophthalmology clinical trial, which very often requires very sophisticated and very expensive technology, because most of the secondary endpoint, normally primary endpoint would be vision, but for many, it could be images as well. It's a major question that we get, do you have in Latin America the same equipment? And the answer is yes. Our sites, and if you ask me for any site, I can tell you exactly which site has which equipment, and we can select sites according to the equipment they have. So we have at our clinics, and I would say 80% of them will have the same level of equipment that you may have in your top clinics in either Sydney, London, New York, exactly the same brand, model, certifications given by the reading center. So there's access to any of this technology. That is not a limitation. Of course, equipment here is a little bit more expensive, but all sites will have all the equipment that you need to run your clinical trials.
Thank you. And so, Teresa, with your wealth of experience in being a CRA monitor, and when you look at, running clinical trials in the area in Latin America, what are some of the common challenges or best practices when it comes to making sure those sites are trial ready? What do you find when you go on site? What do you look for?
As Patricia mentioned, ophthalmology trials are technology intensive, and that adds an extra level of complexity. But what really makes a site trial ready goes beyond the equipment. It's about people and processes. One challenge is the operational viability among sites. Some have extensive experience in global trials, while others are newer to ophthalmology research. That's where CRA involvement becomes critical. I have seen hand training, consistent documentation, and hands-on support help sites feel confident and ready before first patient in. Ultimately, partnership is what brings everything together. I have worked with LATAM sites that may not have been the biggest or the most resources, but because they were motivated, collaborative, and aligned with the CRO, that delivered at the same level at the top global center. That combination, the right infrastructure and the right relationship, is what truly makes a site trial ready.
Teresa, I think you definitely hit on something that we can all agree on, that our industry is driven by relationships. It's a people industry, and we have to keep that in mind when we're working on clinical trials. I would like to go back over to Leandro, and when we're thinking about the fact that Brazil has the advantage of scale and diversity, how does Brazil manage the quality and the recruitment across such a large area? We know quality, of course, from the very start till the very end. We have to focus on quality. So talk to us about how that's managed.
Although we can increase a lot the number of the clinical trials and the patients in clinical trials in Brazil, we have a huge experience in clinical trials, and we participate in clinical trials for many, many years. So, for example, today we are running more than 250 clinical trials at the same time in our facilities. We were the top enrollers in many of them. For example, during the pandemics that some institutions participate from one clinical trial or two, we participated from 5 different clinical trials from 5 different vaccines that were tested on that time. And all of them, we recruited a lot, and all the data were very good because we have a very well-trained team in all of our facilities and all of our units. They are trained to manage these data, to audit internally these data, and to have transparency to the CROs and to the industry that is doing the research with us. So although we can grow a lot, we are very proficient in giving high quality data to the clinical trials because we are very experienced and our team is very well trained. A part of them trained abroad and came back to implement here what they learned. So it's a very well structured area in our institution.
Thank you. And so for Teresa, for you and Patricio, I mean, what lessons from Argentina can we, utilize in other countries? I know one of the things that we've talked about in the past is, the islands of excellence, but now it's kind of on a larger scale. And then Patricio, you've talked about how you mentor new sites that want to get into the industry. So with the first question, what are some of the minimum requirements that you would say is needed from a infrastructure standpoint?
The network is always expanding because we think we have more and more to offer. We are at the peak time in ophthalmology. There are more and more trials coming, and we're managing to secure many of these trials down in South America and down in Latin America. So there's very good interest from other sides saying, I want to be part of that network. So there's so many small clinics with lots of patients, and they're not being invited to be part in a clinical trial. That is almost a given that we go to that site and we say, you need to be doing clinical trials. It's a shame that you don't have, if you're not participating, we need to make sure we do whatever you need to help you participate. So we do that. We give them training. Normally they say, I don't have a study coordinator. We can either provide them one or train one for them, some of the stuff that they may have. Normally this is just for the beginning because little by little they will need more and more stuff. And we do the same training for managing the lab, all the little things that we need to do, visual acuity assessments. And we can bring people from other sites, small site with lots of patients, far away from the city. We bring people over, we train them, they stay for a week with us. And in that way, we can start expanding the network and having more and more sites. And that means faster recruitment. But you were mentioning something before, Tanya, which is quality. And quality it's paramount. It should be, and it is, our number one mission to provide quality data. Because if you have large volume, many sites, untreated patients, technology, quality is not there, then it's all gone. That's the worst possible combination. We always offer our sites, we do our internal audit of the sites within the network, and we are open to audits at any time from the sponsors. We have been inspected by all regulatory agencies. Many times they conduct these regular evaluations, even from the ethics committee, they will come over. And all these are for the sites with less experience, a form of extra training, because they get to know firsthand what is the regulatory agency looking for. And our network is very good at selecting only sites with quality. All the rest, you can get it, okay? You can get your training, you can buy the equipment. You need to have patience and good quality and will for quality. So if the quality is good, you have the volume, all the rest you can get it, your training, your equipment, and that makes it a paramount thing for us.
Excellent. And so Teresa, just real quick, what are your thoughts from a CRA on site? What are your lessons learned?
One of the biggest lessons for Argentina is the power of collaboration. Patricio mentioned site here don't work in isolation. Experienced investigators connect, share learnings, and rely on study coordinators who have high skill and deeply involved in research process. And the lesson in how Argentina has built its capacity. Slow but steady growth. Instead of expanding too quickly, the country has developed a network of reliable, high-performing centers that deliver long-term quality. That combination of strong investigation network, empowered site coordinators, and suitable growth is something we can carry across LATAM. It's a model that's driven both quality and trust. It's one of the reasons the region continues to stand out in ophthalmology research.
Fabulous. And so, that leads to just talking about the power of a partnership, right? And, when we at Fortrea, we talk about a one-team approach, that's all the stakeholders. That's the CRO, that's your sponsor, that's your sites, that's your vendors, and it's your patients. And we know patients with impairment, a lot of times it's a caregiver and a family as well. Patricio, I would really like to know from your perspective, what makes or breaks a sponsor CRO site collaboration for successful trials?
If you have a good relationship there in which sites and CROs are well connected, there's a flow of information going, and you have the oversight of the sponsor, because basically the sponsor takes or gives the responsibility to the CRO to conduct the study, they will be just looking over, but in constant copy of the whatever information is being transferred. They can see that the sites are having a great relationship with the sponsor, with the CRO, and everything is going the way you should regarding the numbers of patients being recruited, the quality that is being measured at every monitoring visit, whatever audits the sponsor send over to the site. Once you have that, I think the sponsor can sit back and say the study is going well. They don't need me. I'm copied on every single email so I can see what's going on. But we can deal with PI to CRA, good relationship, sorting out what is important, making sure the quality is good one. And if there's any issue, we have direct contact with all the rest of the sort of command line that you may have within the CRO. So that's why it's very important to work with CROs that have dedicated teams for ophthalmology. It's a different specialty. Sometimes even within doctors, we joke about, ophthalmology is different from any other specialty. And within clinical trials, it's the same. We need the technology, the patients are different. The sort of treatment that we give is given by us, injection into the eye for most of them. So if you have this triangle of trust, sponsor, the CRO, and the sites all communicating well, there's no reason to fear you're going to have the best success with your clinical trial. And that is something that we achieve here.
Absolutely. So, Teresa, as Patricio has noted, the right relationship, it's at the heart of the success. From your perspective, can you talk to the culture and the behaviors needed for that to happen?
For me, creating the right relationship really comes down to culture, a way of working with transparency, trust, and efficiency. Transparency means key priorities aligned and visible for everyone, sponsor, CRO, and site. So there are no surprises and we all move in the same direction. Trust means knowing that when challenges come up, we can solve them together without unnecessary escalation or bureaucracy. And efficiency is about reducing those extra layers so CRO and site can act directly, stay in sync, and keep the study moving forward. When those three elements are in place, everything feels smoother. Communication flows naturally, issues are resolved faster, and patient ultimately benefits. That's, to me, it was really partnerships look like in action. Align, efficient, and always with the patient at the center.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So as we wrap up the webinar, I want to just quickly recap what really matters when running ophthalmology clinical trials in Latin America. First, we talked about you need sites that have the right equipment. You've got to definitely have the skilled investigators. And you've got to have CRAs that not only know the technology, but also truly understand the therapeutic area. Getting ready for these trials means you have to be smart about picking your sites. You keep everyone well trained and invest in the best devices. And Latin America is a great place for this, thanks to the less competition for the patients and a stable economic environment. It's the partnerships. It's the partnership between the sponsors, the CRO, the sites. That's what keeps things moving. We are, again, in a relationship-driven industry, and how you show up matters. It matters a lot.